Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Masks Off. We're recording again, and I am Kim.
And I'm Tia.
And we're doing a couple extra episodes just to get ourselves ahead of time. So I don't know, we are on, this is like 57, I think.
57, yeah, because you got a
Yes.
week-long class and then we have Thanksgiving. So we just
Yes.
wanted to, not that you would have known that we were recording ahead of time, but that's who we are. We like to let you know.
Yeah. Yes, we like to let you know what we're doing. So I'm going to start with our quote. It's a long quote, but it's an amazing quote, so it's worth it. So hang in there as I read the quote to you. And this is by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold, timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Holy cow, I got chills on that quote.
I know. I was getting all the feels with this one. I mean, I've heard it so many times, Brené Brown, this is like her quote, and it's not just man in the arena, it's women in the arena. But that's hitting me hard. It always hits me, but definitely more today. I think we're both in that space right now.
Yeah.
Talking about it's just.
Do you want to share why maybe more so today, or?
I think, we're recording this, it's Friday after the election. So there's the ups and downs of that. There's just a lot of stuff going on in where I live. COVID cases are exploding. They're at my daughter's work. And she's there right now dealing with all of that. And so it's just like, and not just that, just dealing with my own thoughts, feelings, everything. It's just like the perfect storm per se. I don't want to say that because it's not doom and gloom or anything like that, but I just feel the weight. I just feel a lot of heaviness. And I'm still picking myself up and getting in that arena, and it's exhausting to get in the arena at times. And that's what I'm feeling. So when reading that, I'm like, it's a reminder to keep getting in the arena. Keep doing this work, keep showing up, keep being who you are, even when it's tough. Because there's been a lot of holding space recently and it gets exhausting at times.
It can be.
And I wouldn't change it for the world, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I really need to be mindful of getting in the arena for myself in the next few days and taking care of myself, because sleep's been suffering and just, I need to go for a hike. I think I really need to go to a park and get outside. And I know one of my daughters is coming home this weekend as well. And I mentioned that to her today. I'm like, let's go one of the state parks and get outside. It's crazy warm in November for a few more days. So yeah, I'm just like, a lot of lion's breath is needed or something. I don't know. How about you?
Well, I was just going to say, before I jump in, is just that part of you being in the arena is just right from the outset of this recording, you jumping in and sharing that you're struggling. You're in struggle right now. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're having some feelings. And rather than like us showing up and just putting on this mask of, hey, we're good, like everything is good, life is great.
We got a teaching for you today.
We gotta,
Woo!
we're perfect. Well, that would be wearing the freaking mask, because that is not where you're at right now. It's not where I'm at right now. And we're just wanting to show up authentically.
Right.
We
And
want
we
to
could have
show up
chose
real.
not to record, but we wanted to because we wanted to be real.
Yeah. I even said to you, Tia, I said beforehand, I said, I think we're going to go a little deeper today and like really talk about something, at least, for me, something that's very hard to talk about. And so for me, what I have been noticing a lot is this piece about being vulnerable. And this is going into the arena. And sometimes I have gone into the arena and I have worn my heart on my sleeve, only to be met with the person on the other side, either yes, trying to give me advice because that person felt very uncomfortable with what I shared. And so they wanted to quickly jump into fixing it for me or giving advice. So that's one way people have showed up. And then other ways that people have showed up is literally looking at me like a deer in headlights. Like I have no freaking clue what you're talking about.
And they run from the arena.
And run. They're the ones who are sitting in the stands and judging. And I feel judged. And I don't know if they truly are, but that's the thing. I feel judged when I wear my heart on my sleeve, because I feel like many of us are conditioned that to be vulnerable is weakness.
Right.
And I'm feeling, and I could be, and I'm probably creating a story, and maybe not, I don't know. Sometimes I have literally felt people's energy. Like I can feel people's energy really well because I'm a super empath.
Right.
So I can feel when that person on the other side is feeling like I'm a wacko because I'm in a super vulnerable space. Right. I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess, as Glennon Doyle always says. I'm a hot mess. And we're not taught or allowed to be that way, right? When we're growing up, especially little boys. What are you crying for? Right. Stop crying. Little boys don't cry. I'll give you something to cry about. Right. Or suck it up. Suck it up. What is wrong with you?
Or for girls, you can't have those feelings. You need to take care of everyone else.
Yes. So don't feel that way. Don't feel that way.
Why put that smile on your face? Why aren't you smiling?
Why
you look so much better when you're smiling.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So to be a hot mess doesn't look well, according to culture.
Right.
And so people have been on the other side of me being a hot mess or being super vulnerable. And I can honestly say that I really never, my whole life can honestly say that I have felt where I've had someone in my life to just truly honor and see me and hold space for me. And maybe I haven't even done that with either for the other. I mean, I feel like I'm a good listener. I feel like I'm supportive and I'm, again, compassionate and I'm empathic. So I may be a little bit more able to hold space. That's a good question. Unless I'm in anxious worry where I want to fix it, and that I have done a lot with my kids and maybe my mom and stuff like that. When I feel anxious, fearful, or worried, I do go into wanting to rescue or fix. So then I'm probably not in that space of holding space for someone who's being vulnerable.
Right.
But for the most part, I think that I can do that for people, but I've not had it reciprocated. And so to show up and say right now here on recording, when this can be heard by anyone in the world, is super vulnerable in and of itself. I'm going in the arena to say that I'm noticing so much how I don't have that deep connection, that heart-to-heart connection with the very close people in my life. That deep intimacy.
You see day to day or every few weeks, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a result of not, and when we can't show up and be vulnerable, like if we're a hot mess and we're going through some struggle and strife, just like you showed up here right at the very beginning, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders, right? If you didn't feel that you could say that or show up in that way, what do? You put your mask on.
Done it a
And
million times.
right? Me too.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm strong. I'm Tia. I'm Kim. I'm super competent.
You can
I
do it
got this.
all.
You can do it all. Let me just take care of you and all of your feelings and all of your emotions. Let me just please you. Let me, seek your approval and just deny and push down that real feeling of I'm a mess in here right now. And it doesn't mean like, oh, all the time. It just means in the moment, I'm a mess.
Right.
And I'm wanting that deep connection. I want someone to see me, truly see that I'm a hot mess right now, and it's okay. And that's the important part, that it's okay. It's okay, Tia, that you're a hot mess right now. It's okay that you're feeling the weight of the world. Or it's okay, Kim. It's for the time being or the moment or now, or it's okay. Cry, be a mess, be upset, be whatever, be scared. Like, I just feel that is so missing in the world and in our relationships.
It is.
With one another.
And then when we find a couple people we can do that with, it's an incredible experience.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not easy. And even when you find that person you can do that with, it doesn't mean you're always willing to go there.
I know. Why do you think we're not always willing? If it feels good and you have a person, why would we not be willing to go there all the time?
Because I think the conditioning is so strong. And then there's that worry of, if I unload on them again, are they going to still be my person?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Because I don't want to lose them. And all I do is going to be like, oh, life sucks right now. I just need to vent. And they'll be like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore because all you do is vent.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a story, right? There's a story that we tell ourselves right away.
Totally. Because I have people vent to me all the time. And you know what? I want them to, because I don't want them to carry that.
Yeah.
And not feel seen and heard. So I question myself, why is it hard for me to do that? And I know it's a lot of stories and old masks, like you're supposed to be the strong one. You're the one that holds space. You're the one that does this. Well, but
or how about because
too?
I was going to say, how about because we know better?
Yes.
We know this. So because we have the wisdom, we talk about it, we teach it, we know better. So we shouldn't.
We shouldn't be weak.
We shouldn't be weak.
Because we know what to do. And how many times have I, it's the lesson of fulfill your own needs. Yeah. You can take care of your own needs first. Yes. And sometimes we just need to have a moment and have someone take care of us.
That's a key right there. Like, I, growing up, didn't feel that my needs were worthy. Because they were not met as a child. So I felt like my personal needs were not as important as the other person's need.
Exactly.
And that was something that was taught to me and modeled to me by my mom. I love my mom. She's no longer here. And, she did her best and she had good intentions in teaching that. And she would always say, literally her words were, you need to put other people's needs ahead of your own. Because that's what
she even said it out loud.
She said it like that. You need to put other people's needs ahead of your own, because that's what Jesus would do. It was a religious thing that was conditioned in her mind. And then I watched her do it. It's heavy. I watched her over and over. So it was conditioned in me. So, and also just not having my needs met either. So there's an event that happened where I interpreted or attached a meaning that I wasn't worthy. I wasn't worthy of having my needs met.
And when we really extrapolate this out, it's almost, I won't say everyone, I mean, but even narcissists, they have it. It just shows up differently, right? They think they're worthy. Everything should revolve around me, but that's because they don't believe they're worthy. So they're overcompensating.
Yes.
You know, so this is a belief system that hopefully we're breaking these generational patterns, but it's rampant. It's everywhere. How many people do you see who are vulnerable on a consistent basis? I mean, you can't be vulnerable with everyone. I mean, you do have
That's
to
true.
be mindful.
Yes, you have to love and live with a smart heart.
Exactly.
So you have to pick and choose.
Right. Like there are people I wouldn't be vulnerable with because I've either tried it, and after multiple times of over and over not being held, it's like, okay, that's not someone I can keep trying this anymore with.
Yes.
And then there's people who are very obvious and like, you are just a fix-it person. That's all you want to do. And you're not a person.
Right.
Or there's no relationship, you know, but usually you're not vulnerable with an acquaintance anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it's having that discernment too is important. But once we have it, then you still have to do it. You can find somebody, like, I know I can be vulnerable with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
and vice versa. And the thing is, like, well, we do, right? We do. And I think sometimes I just don't, because when we're on with each other, we have so much to get done. But even there, it's like, okay, no, you know what? Maybe I need to say, can we take a pause on all that we have to do? I just am a mess right now, you know, a hot mess. And even to do that.
You know, and so maybe that's something we can like declare to the world on our podcast. That sounds kind of funny.
Declare
to all our millions of viewers. No, but seriously, like if you're having a rough go and we're supposed to record podcasts or work on a course or vice versa, and we just need, you know, because it's not like we often need to take an hour. When we do that, because we both know we can show up and we both know the other person can hold that space, it's not like we take a whole hour to do it. I mean, sometimes we have. Yeah. But if it takes an hour, it takes an hour. If it takes two, it takes two. That's what we need to do.
Exactly. That's how we show up for one another.
Yeah.
And going back to what I say all the time, the question is, so if I only had a week to live, or if I was on my deathbed, what would really matter, right? Exactly. What is really important in life? Right. And I think it's about really being seen for who I truly am. Like if I went my whole life and I didn't have one person to like really see me, even when I'm a hot mess, like that is something I don't want to have. Like I want to have those deep connections, those heart-centered connections, to be intimate. And I think that's really what it is at the core for me, is my own fear, my own uncomfortableness with being intimate with another. Like that is just so super common among so many people. I just think we all have it, and it's a practice. You have to cultivate that.
Completely. And I shouldn't say we haven't, but the vast majority, when have we even witnessed this in our lives? When have we witnessed true intimacy in our families, in culture? You know, the whole Tom Cruise, you complete me, that's not intimacy.
I know. I was going to say the only time I see, exactly, that is the only time I closely see anything is on TV. And even that is just that's not real either, but that is what leaves me longing for the feeling that you see, you know, when you see a love story, and at the end of the story, the guy walks over to the woman and he takes her face and holds her by the face, looks deeply into her eyes, and then kisses her slowly. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that feeling of someone seeing you so deeply, so intimately, is what when I am done watching those movies that I want. I'm not saying I want the kissing and stuff. I mean, that's okay too, but I'm just saying, I just want to be seen so deeply like that, and to be able to see
all of you, ugliness
Yes.
and the not so ugly.
Yes.
You know, the things we've done that have harmed others, and that, you know what, I still see you and you're still who you are.
So
You
it's
make
that fear
mistakes.
of judging, right? It comes
Oh
back to
gosh, there's so much.
fear of being judged, fear of being rejected. So in order to really be vulnerable and to go along with this quote, to be in the arena, you have to go in. It's going to be, your face is going to be marred by dust, sweat,
Totally.
and blood. There's no guarantee that when
No,
you take that emotional risk, that fear of uncertainty, that you're not going to have some scrapes and bruises. It's just,
exactly.
it's in spite of, you do it anyway.
And then going further with that, because I have done that, you've said you've done that before, you know, at least we fail while doing, and I don't particularly care for the word fail in the quote, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the message behind the quote, while daring greatly. And so when I've attempted to be vulnerable and I'm not met back and held with air, and I worry to do it again, and maybe I'm mindful not to do it again with that person or whatever, but I can't let that stop me.
I know.
Because you know what, just because I handed my heart and soul on a platter and you did not accept it is nothing to do with me at all.
I know.
And we have to remember that. And so we have to check our expectations and check that not everyone's going to respond the way we do. I mean, because I don't always show up when someone is, because I have other stuff going on. And it's like,
I was just going to say, depending
oh my gosh,
on,
I messed up. I didn't hold space. I went in to fix it. Like you said, if I'm really worried about a situation, I just want to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, and I do a disservice to that person in that moment.
Yeah, I know I'm guilty of that as well. I know particularly many times, you know, with a lot of people in my life. And so it's not about doing that perfectly. Right. It's about just doing a do-over. Like, hey, you know what? I just realized that I went into this mode. I had my rescuer mask on. I had my fix-it mask on, and I missed the mark on being supportive or being compassionate and holding space for you. Can we do this over?
And that's being in the arena as well.
That's being in the arena.
How vulnerable is that? I screwed up. You came to me and I didn't meet you halfway.
Yeah. And you know what? And I heard myself say, and it is all valid because it's how I feel. I heard myself say throughout this episode so far that I haven't had people show up for me in the way that I need people to show up. And I haven't had that. And this is not like, I'm not putting myself down. It's just a realization, and it's a co-creation, take 100% responsibility for the fact that I need to watch and check my own way of showing up with others.
And yourself.
And myself. I'm better at doing it with myself. I'm getting there.
Which makes sense.
However, going back full circle, before we started recording, full circle. So I was sharing with you that I still am having this tape come up when I'm working with clients or whatever, like that. If I'm not getting the validation and the feedback that I'm looking for from whatever activity I'm in, that I automatically go to, I've done something wrong. I didn't do it well enough. I didn't please the person. I didn't perform. And so then it comes back to the perfection. Right. And it comes back to that not being enough. And then the second arrow. Right. Of
all these things we talk about.
Right. The second arrow of like, oh, there you go again. Rather than what we're talking about in this episode is showing up for myself, because I'm being a hot mess and being there for myself. Right. So how do I show up and be there for myself? Like, then, you know, my higher self, my adult self can come in and say, because it's my little girl who's feeling all these things, and say, it's absolutely okay.
Right.
It's absolutely okay.
Right.
You're perfect exactly as you are.
Mhm.
You always were perfect. You always will be perfect just as you are. You always were enough. You're enough now and always will be enough.
Mhm.
And that just going back and giving those affirmations and, energetically holding myself.
And that is being in the arena, because we may be in there and be vulnerable, since we're talking about this in particular in the arena, because there's lots of ways to show up in the arena. It's letting go of that expectation that the other is going to be able to hold space for you, but you're showing up in the arena to be vulnerable for you. I mean, everything you just said. Imagine if we address that willingness to be vulnerable, and instead of putting all the onus on the other to show up, which is important, don't get me wrong, we need connection and we need that.
Yeah.
But remembering, if that person does not have the ability, whether it's someone who can hold space for you and just is having their own stuff going on that day, or it's someone you want to try being vulnerable and they again let you down, you showed up for you. You showed up vulnerable, and you can do all that same stuff for yourself. And the fact that you showed up and are vulnerable, you're in the arena and you're honoring yourself.
That's so interesting that you say that, because that's exactly where I do struggle at times, because there are certain people that I know that I'm not being fully vulnerable and I'm not stepping in the arena because of being burned in the past.
Right.
And these are close people in my circle, close people. And I feel like I do need to continue to be vulnerable for myself and keep going in that arena, not to get anything from the other, but for myself. Because when I'm not being vulnerable, authentic, and real, and going in the arena when I'm with that other person, what I'm then doing is disconnecting from my true self.
Exactly.
I'm putting those masks back on.
Right.
And now I've just cut off from myself, and that feels even worse.
Right. Totally.
And then that's where all the comes up at times, because now I've just betrayed myself.
Right.
Or I've cut off from myself because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to be courageous enough to be vulnerable with that person, because I was fearing what might come back or not come back.
Exactly.
So I love that you brought that up. I focus on the external with those particular people. So I love that you added that in.
Whew, it's not easy being in this arena, but it's so worth it though.
Yeah, so worth it. And this is a great episode. Probably one of my favorites so far. And I love that quote. And I just feel like we went super deep, and we just went there, and we were both super vulnerable.
Yeah. And isn't that honoring ourselves?
It is. And even if one person can just hear and just have it resonate in some little way, shape, or form, or inspire just one person who might listen and say, you know what, I want to step in the arena a little more. Right?
No matter how scary it is.
Yeah. Then recording this has been well worth it.
Yeah. And even not, I think it was worth it for me.
It was definitely worth it for me. For sure. I feel so good. I'm I'm ready to go somewhere or do something. It's Friday night. I feel good. Let's go. So super amazing. This was great. Awesome.
I'm glad we went through and did a recording today.
Yes. So thank you everyone for your support. We hope that you will be gentle with yourself and just hold space for yourself if you do take the risk to be vulnerable. And like I said earlier, love with a smart heart.
That's right. I love that. Love that.
Yes. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
All right. Take care. Bye.